This Halloween season, we here at ScreenRant figured it was appropriate for us to go back and look at some of our favorite spooky films. Coraline? Check. Blair Witch? Check. A film about Dracula owning and operating a hotel for like-minded monsters while dealing with a daughter who falls in love with a normal human? Big check on that one there, buddy. Hotel Transylvania is admittedly not the spookiest of spooky films, but we enjoy it, and you know that you do as well. So what could we look at in regards to Hotel Transylvania and its two sequels? Theories about how the version of Dracula in these films is the same one as Bela Lugosi's iconic vampire lord? The idea that the films are just a way for parents to talk to their kids about love and the birds and the bees? Or how these films are secretly part of Universal's now defunct Dark Universe? Yeah, okay, that one would be a bit of a stretch even for us. No, instead we're taking a look at some small details that you might not know about the monstrous trilogy. We'll take a look at why a member of the original cast was replaced in the sequels, where the real Hotel Transylvania probably is, and even how Selena Gomez managed to completely break the fabric of reality. So stick around, ScreenRanters, as we dive headfirst into the spooks and hyper-frantic animation of the Hotel Transylvania franchise. Let's go! This is a great little touch that shows the filmmaker's attention to detail. Bram Stoker's Dracula, the classic novel that bears a lot of influence on the Hotel Transylvania films, was released in 1897. In the first Hotel Transylvania film, it is said that Vlad's wife, Martha, passed away in 1895. This mirrors the fate of the character of Lucy Westenra from the novel. In the novel, Van Helsing takes revenge and Dracula is turned to dust. The film appears to reference the Dracula story as if it really happened, treating the classic novel as historical fact. In this universe, we guess Dracula did not turn to dust, and instead opened a charming hotel for monsters. Good for him. This interpretation is also backed up by the series' portrayal of Van Helsing, a hapless monster hunter who was never able to capture Dracula. Next up, we want to look at one of the head honchos behind the Hotel T films, Genndy Tartakovsky. Genndy directed all three films, and though you may not know his name, you definitely know his style. Genndy created several classic animated series, namely Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. He created the Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, originally as a series of shorts, though his designs were later used for the CG cartoon. Though his work is massively iconic and influential, Genndy's name is not widely known, and neither is his involvement in the Hotel Transylvania films. But as we said, once you know, his style is unmistakable. Genndy's unique and expressive designs are there, but what might be the most striking is the speed in which they move around. Many modern animated movies move fast. A little too fast if you ask old-timers like us. But Genndy's work is different. Each pose and expression feels precise. He is a major talent. Also, can we take a second just to point out how difficult it is to say Genndy's last name? Tartakovsky. We'll just go with Genndy. Next up, we have to spotlight a less pleasant behind-the-scenes situation. It revolves around the character of Murray the Mummy. In Hotel Transylvania 2 and 3, Murray is played by the hilarious Keegan-Michael Key of Key and Peele fame. But in the original Hotel Transylvania film, Murray was played by someone else, Cee Lo Green. If you're unfamiliar with him, Cee Lo Green was a singer and rapper who gained fame as part of the group Gnarls Barkley. He then embarked on a solo career, singing a massive hit song that we're not allowed to say the name of on YouTube, and landed a gig judging the reality show The Voice. It was around this time that he appeared in Hotel Transylvania. Soon after, Cee Lo was involved in a highly publicized and very ugly assault case, the details of which we also can't really discuss in this video. Google it if you just really want to get mad. It's no wonder he was removed from the cast of such a family-friendly franchise. Moving on, there were many influences on the town the original film takes place in. One big one was Wallachia. Wallachia is a historical region of Romania and is significant for being where Vlad the Impaler was from. Vlad the Impaler, as the name implies, was a bit of a brutal dictator. He ruled Romania with an iron fist for much of the 1400s, and he was a major inspiration for the character of Dracula. He even called himself Dracula, which was a nickname for his father, Vlad Dracul. The mythology of vampirism, or at least the popular version we know of today, was also largely drawn from Romanian folklore. Romanian beliefs about vampires extend to their aversions to garlic and many other pieces of vampire mythology that come to mind today. That is what compelled Bram Stoker to consider Romania as a setting for his vampire story, and use Vlad the Impaler as an influence. All of this history in turn influenced the animators behind Hotel Transylvania. On to less historically dense pieces of trivia. The Hotel Transylvania movies are also greatly influenced by their star and producer, Adam Sandler. If you know his work at all, you can see Sandler's fingerprints all over Hotel Transylvania, from the style of humor to the use of Sandler's frequent collaborators. Kevin James plays Frankenstein, David Spade plays the Invisible Man, and Steve Buscemi plays the Wolfman. All of these actors appear in many of Sandler's films. Less obvious as collaborators, however, are Sandler's own family, who pop up in voice roles across the 3 films. True to the themes of the trilogy, Sandler cast his own wife, Jackie Sandler, as Vlad's wife Martha. His daughter Sadie also plays a few roles, both as the young Mavis and as Winnie, one of the werewolf children. Sandler's nephew, Jared, also plays a tourist in the second film. His daughter Sunny lends her voice to the third. Here's a piece of technical trivia that we found interesting. We mentioned earlier that director Genndy Tartakovsky specializes in very fast-paced brand of animation. Gendy's style is so fast, in fact, that it causes problems with the look of the original film. For the sequel, Sony developed a system specifically for the film called Genndy Blur, which would mimic the motion blur that is created in live-action movement. After all, our eyes process things moving too fast as a blur in real life, but no such effect is created in animation. The Genndy blur effect was created to rectify that. Another thing that was updated in the process of making the sequel was the system to animate cloth, as fabric is a notorious difficult thing to animate. Genndy told Collider in 2015, "It's based on real-world physics, but our characters don't move that way, so the cloth has a really hard time catching up with it. We still have a long ways to go." But Genndy wasn't the only big name behind the scenes. The first 2 Transylvania films were co-written by Robert Smigel, a man with an interesting career. Smigel was a writer on Saturday Night Live, where he met Adam Sandler. He was the first head writer of the Conan O'Brien Show, and it was there that he debuted his signature character, Triumph, the insult comic dog. If you've never seen Triumph, he is well worth seeking out. A dog who speaks like a 1950s insult comic. It's amazing what Smigel was able to get away with from behind a cute puppet. Since then, Smigel has collaborated many times with Sandler, both in front and behind the camera. He produced the first Hotel Transylvania film and lent his voice to the first 2 films. The Transylvania films might not be the best ever Sandler-Smigel team-up, if not for Smigel's cameo in Punch Drunk Love. In that film, Smigel plays a dentist who meets Sandler shortly before he has a massive breakdown. In Collider's extensive interview with the crew of Hotel Transylvania in 2015, contributor Sheila Roberts was able to speak to the production designer on Hotel Transylvania 2, Michael Kerensky. Kerensky spoke at length about many topics, such as lighting and design influences, but he also gave some insight into some Easter eggs he was able to sneak into the film. Kerensky said that on a sign-up sheet at the vampire camp, he filled an entire team with the names of his family. As a further shout-out to his daughter, he specified that the number of hits on a YouTube video in the film should be 1282001, translating to January 28th, 2001, his daughter's birthday. Kerensky said that the best part of Easter eggs like this is that only his daughter knows that they are there. He said, "You get to do the little things. I know it, she knows it. That's just beautiful, man." In the same interview, Collider spoke to Melissa Sturm, a voice actress who records what is called a scratch voice, and she took them through the process of what exactly that means. Basically, when the script is completed, the crew records temporary voices, and does a basic animatic of what the movie will look like. The crew will use all kinds of people from the studio to record these scratch voices, as the vocal tracks are very temporary. Still, a trained voice actress like Melissa is sometimes brought in to give the actors something to work with. As a result, Melissa performed scenes with Andy Samberg and Adam Sandler. Genndy Tartakovsky also said that he tried as much as possible to get the actors in the same room together to record, but this was difficult because of their often conflicting schedules. Another major part of the sound process is, of course, the sound effects. This is a part many of us just don't think about. But movies don't just make use of sound libraries for their sound effects. There are still people whose job it is to make noises in the sound booth and make sure the film sounds just right. Sarah Jacobs and Robin Harlan were Foley artists on Hotel Transylvania 2 and discussed their methods for creating the unique sound effects for the different characters. They discussed creating the sounds of the claws for the character of Winnie, the werewolf cub. Harlan described attaching paper clips to a pair of work gloves and tapping them on the table, creating the sound of claws on wood. For Vlad's cape, the team used an umbrella attached to a piece of fabric to create the whooshing sounds that occurs when Vlad moves. It's amazing what you can do with some household objects. As you may recall, much of Hotel Transylvania 2 takes place in a sleepaway camp for vampires. With the set being such a big part of the film, the filmmakers put a lot of thought into what it should look and feel like. Two real-life places serve as the major influences. The first was the historic Yosemite National Park, which figured into the look of the general landscape. Its mountains also provided the inspiration for the daunting rock formations that outline the camp. The other, perhaps more interesting influence, is the Norwegian town of Rjukan. Rjukan is located in a deep valley, and as a result, the sun doesn't shine down upon the town for the entirety of winter. The town is shaded by hills on either side, and sunlight can't get through. That is until 2013 when, in a solution fit for Wile E. Coyote, the town installed 3 giant mirrors to bounce sunlight down onto its people. Now that is ingenuity. In searching for character designers for the first film, the team behind Hotel Transylvania cast a very wide net. Artists were found from France and all over the world. One such artist was Carlo Grangel, who helped design the look of Murray the Mummy, among others. Carlos hails from Spain and is known for his unconventional choice of medium. Unlike most character designers or artists in general, Carlos doesn't really like using paper. Instead, he prefers the inside of cereal boxes, saying the texture and color force him to be more creative. Judging by the designs in the film, we'd say he's right. Being unable to eat all the cereal required to support his drawing habit, Carlos has requested other artists in his studio to bring in their own. You heard it here first, folks. Draw on your Fruit Loops box and send it directly to Adam Sandler. He might just give you a job. The next bit is about copyright law. Wait, before you click away, we promise that it's interesting. You may know about public domain, the law governing that when a story or character passes a certain milestone after the author passes away, the copyright expires, and anyone can make use of that story and those characters. As a result, characters like Dracula and Frankenstein are part of the public domain, as they originated in some very old books. Despite this, the iconic looks of Dracula and Frankenstein were largely created by the films Universal made in the 30s, films which are not yet in the public domain, meaning that if the makers of Hotel Transylvania used designs that were too close to the Universal monsters, they risked a lawsuit. As a result, the character of Frankenstein could not be green, or have bolts in his neck, and Vlad could not have his red line cape, because that was just too close to the Universal Dracula. Copyright's a really weird thing. Here's an interesting thing. Many movie stars' contracts include how much space they are supposed to take up on a poster for the film. This might be why a movie such as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has such a boring poster. It's possible DiCaprio and Pitt contractually forced it to be that way. So while many movie stars fight for space on the poster of a movie, very few fight to be included on a poster in the movie. But apparently, Selena Gomez did. Let us explain. In Mavis's room of the hotel, there is a shot where Mavis appears to have a poster of Selena Gomez, creating a bit of a hole in the space between reality and fiction. What's next? Vlad singing the Hanukkah song? Wayne the werewolf watching Fargo? Frankenstein watching, Kevin Can Wait? This doesn't make any sense. Our final entry concerns Gremlin Air, the shoddily operated airline from Hotel Transylvania 3. Gremlin Air is referencing a couple different things. First of all, perhaps obviously, is the film Gremlins, in which a group of sharp-toothed green monsters terrorize a small town. The other reference is, more obliquely, The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone was a science fiction horror TV show from the 50s similar to Black Mirror today. Like Black Mirror, it was an anthology show, and featured a new story every single week. One of the most famous by far was an episode called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, starring William Shatner. In the episode, Old Willie is the only one who can see a gremlin on the wing of the plane, tearing at the machinery. A few of the shots of Gremlin Air in Hotel Transylvania 3 directly evoke this episode, making the reference more direct. By the way, if you're looking for some more spooky stuff to watch this October, the original Twilight Zone still totally holds up. Even the relaunched version of the series featuring Jordan Peele is pretty dang good. Heck, even the movie's worth it if you got some free time. Well, Screen Ranters, that was our look at the Hotel Transylvania trilogy. Anything that you know about that we missed? Perhaps you have a friend who worked on the films and told you all about it, or just really dig the movies and know everything there is to know? What other spooky movies are you revisiting this October? And which ones do you think that we should take a look at? What's your favorite episode of Twilight Zone? Let us know your answers to these questions and more in the comments below. And while you're down there, why not consider subscribing to ScreenRant for even more awesome videos like this in your feed each and every day. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the movies. Now, if you excuse us, we're gonna go take a look at skeleton memes.